Now we get to the final example of this chapter. I'll play exercise 16 using the Albion 1 strings, and then afterwards we can see how we can enhance this. If we use woodwinds, we can certainly enhance the lyrical feel of this piece. Even though rules are made to be broken, we will use one of them now, and that is that we will double the lead melody, i.e. the violin 1, by using a flute from the woodwinds. If we look in my woodwinds track here, we can see that I have the flute being played with the SWAM or SWAM engine flute patch, and it is playing the upper melody line. The second voice, i.e. violin 2, is doubled with the oboe. The next instrument I played in is the clarinet, and this is doubling the viola. Certain sections have been left open, as we will hear when everything is played together. Next, I have used the bassoon to play a combination of the cello and the contrabass parts. Once again, I have left gaps to allow the music to breathe somewhat in those sections. As these are solo instruments, they are somewhat quieter and less dominant than the strings, but in combination they will still add a lot. Now we can listen to the entire section, but just the strings alone at first. And now we can listen to the strings and the woodwinds together. we get a completely different orchestral effect. And you can certainly notice just how important the woodwinds are in this arrangement. So even though the woodwind instruments are not playing harmonies or new melodies, they clearly enhance and add richness to our arrangement. Of course, these parts were played in as an example, and if we were to play them in much more carefully, we would be able to control the vibrato somewhat better and obviously enhance the dynamics, etc., by taking somewhat more care. The small things do matter, but in our case here, these are simply examples rather than finished works. But the main thing to take from this example is the fact that simply by dividing the chords or the string section up into individual sections for the individual woodwind instruments, we have created a much richer and more orchestral arrangement. So as we reach the end of this chapter, we have one final demonstration. This is the Cine Samples library, and we have a patch which contains samples of orchestral chords. It is called the Cine Orc library. On the keyboard, we have a collection of major chords to the left, minor chords in the middle, and diminished to the right. And if you play softly, you get the sustained chords. And if you play with a higher velocity, you get shorter chords. And these chords are live recordings of orchestral chords. So this is an interesting option, but of course, it is more limited than playing in the individual parts, but can be an interesting instrument for creating ideas. So with that, we have reached the end of this chapter.